So I'm a CPA by profession, and I've looked at our budget carefully in the government, and what I realize is most of it is waste, theft, and poor quality services. Waste, theft, and poor quality services. So if we cut out the waste and cut out the theft and focus on quality services, all of them we talked about before, we achieve. One thing we need to understand is Jamaica does not have a shortage of wealth. So, for example, the Prime Minister, the last budget is practically $1 trillion. Where does that money come from? Me and you. And we pay it out of our pocket. The only difference is, under a system of bad governance, a lot of that money goes into corruption. And what it does, it gives some people more wealth than others, which they never earned. So you're taking wealth from the hardworking people. They're not seeing the benefit, so they don't get the quality roads, the quality. Let me tell you something. If you go to any community in Jamaica, the average community, they have no community center. If they have one, it's dilapidated.
True, so true.
They don't have a nice park, beautiful park. They don't have play areas for the kids. So why not? Because the government doesn't use our money for that. What they do, and it's very, very deliberate, they have found a way to tax us and funnel that money into the pockets of a few individuals. So those in the PSOJ oligarchy, they get an outsized wealth. I'll give you one example. During COVID, when all of us were struggling, and they told us to lock down our businesses, how is it that when you lock down the economy, for the average Jamaican, the bank still made billions in profit? Remember, the bank only make profit from we,
Right.
The bank doesn't produce anything.
Right.
The bank is just a building with vaults and staff
Right.
and computers. And all the bank does is take our money, we bring it and deposit to them. They lend us back our money. They lend us our money at huge interest.
Right.
We have to work very hard and pay back that interest. And the bank then declares they made billions. Where it come from? We. So it means that something is wrong with the system. Jamaica is not a poor country. It's a poorly run colony. So Jamaica remains a colony of anybody who wants to colonize us, be it Britain, China, or anybody. Because the government we have is a sellout government. It will sell us to anybody, the highest bidder. So it's not like our government that we have sell us to just the US or to the UK. Anybody who come with money, they will sell us to them. So what you want is a system of governance where the government cannot sell you.
Yes.
Government is here to be a servant of the people, not a master of the people. And the role of government is to protect your rights, not to infringe on them. So the moment government starts to infringe on your right, it ceases to be government and has become a god. And we must mash that down. You shouldn't have a system of governance where government can shut down one set of people because they don't like what they have to say. The best form of governance is one where everybody is free to share what they think is important. The police should work in a way where it does three things. It protects you, it serves you, but most importantly, it must respect you. And what we have today is a brute force police that doesn't respect the people because they still operate of a colonial mindset where we the people are not that important. If you notice, the police are there to protect the politicians. They sometimes even protect criminals because they're in collusion. So what you want is a system where the police is really a servant of the people and is not under the control so much of the political directorate, but is under the control of the Constitution that says your goal, your objective, your mandate is to respect the people's rights, protect the people's rights, and serve the people as their loyal police. Education is only education if it moves you from darkness into light. What we have today is not an education system, but a schooling system, which is meant to brainwash and manipulate. So it brainwashes you into not understanding your rights. It brainwashes you into giving power to those who think they're in authority. It brainwashes you into not having an understanding of your mind, body, and personality. You don't know how to build good, solid relationship with your spouse, with your partners, with other people. You don't understand money and economics, so you're manipulated by people like the finance minister and so on. So you want a true education system where you get true education, so your mind is liberated. So if you have a prime minister or a politician who come and promise you prosperity without explaining how you're going to get productivity, He's a false prophet. He's a
Yes.
fake.
It's a fake.
And that's what we have gotten, a fake promise of prosperity,
Right.
which has not materialized except for those who have control over our economy.
Right.
And who has control over our economy? It's very simple. The PSOJ oligarchs.
Mm.
They own the two-party. They fund their campaign, allow them to use that money to buy the licky people that they can buy, win government, and then steal our money and make themselves richer. That's the system we've been living under for the last 80 years.
Wow.
Prior to that, it was a similar system, but it was the colonizers who fully controlled things for 400 years. And how did they run things? They divided us into tribes, the colonizers.
Yes.
They withheld education from us to keep us ignorant. And then they mastered our economy and built what you call a master slave economy, where a few people extract the wealth of the majority. The same thing today, except that now the colonizers have agents that we call two colonial parties. And the PSOJ is the main manager of that organization. And what they've done to us is to trick us into coming into two tribes, a green tribe and an orange tribe. And we fight each other perpetually, consistently, even aggressively, to the point where in 1980 we killed 800 of ourselves, murdered 800 of ourselves. And I'm saying it's time for us to move away from that.
Right.
We cannot afford to be divided by hostile tribes anymore. The real mastermind behind this is the PSOJ oligarchs who fund these two parties to give us a duopoly, meaning they own both sides of the equation.
Yes. Yes.
So it doesn't matter who you vote for. So right now, what's going on? They're tricking us right now. You know? What are they doing right now?
Yes.
They have us believing that they're currently fighting against one of their leaders about his money and about whatever. So we're now caught up in it, not realizing we're repeating history. So we're now going to say, yes, get rid of him. And we're going to feel vindicated when we get rid of him and replace him with one of their other men. So they're going to keep us quiet and satisfied with our sufferation because we felt good that we vote him out and vote him in. When all we have done is to switch the side of the coin.
It's the same coin.
It's the same coin. So what will happen? The PSOJ oligarchs will still win the next election. And we, the people, would have lost again while thinking we have won. I can tell you this. If tomorrow morning we vote in the orange crew, it's just the green crew in an orange color. And if we keep the green crew, it's just the orange crew in a different color. So the only way for us to get over this is to own our own party. And that's where the UIC comes in. From 1834, the Queen of England told us that we were free. They told us that, listen carefully, people.
Yes.
The Queen of England in 1834 said, free the slaves. It was a lie.
We know.
It was fake. Here's what they did. They said you are now free, but they held on to the land that they stole from us. They held on to the wealth that they stole from our free labor or slave labor. And they did not compensate us for 400 years of uneducation and miseducation. Because remember, when they enslaved us, you can't learn to read all right.
No.
And they beat out of us our cultural knowledge, our heritage, our African knowledge.
Right.
So they made sure that we become fully dunce.
Yes.
Today we're celebrating fully dunce.
Yes, they're celebrating.
But a long time the colonials have been making us fully dunce. So in 1834, when they freed the slaves, they didn't give them back the land. They didn't give them back the money stolen from their labor. And nor did they give them compensation for the loss of learning.
Right.
So that's a fake freedom. It took 100 years now before we got the right to vote. Let me ask you a dumb question. If you were free in 1834, why is it you couldn't vote until 1944? Now, over the next 100 years now, we start to agitate again. Because now we realize that this freedom thing is not working. So we start to burn down a few more plantations.
Yes.
And we start to do some more gruesome things.
Right.
So they say, boy, we have to trick them again.
Yes.
So now they say, let's give them the right to vote. But here what we're going to do. Even though them can vote, we go and control who they can vote for. And so what they did was to get rid of Marcus Garvey. Because Marcus Garvey was like me. He was a true patriot.
Right.
He was committed to the real freedom of our people.
Yes.
So what they did was to give us two fake parties now, which are not committed to the freedom of the people. They're committed to maintaining colonialism. So they gave us 2 white men with 2 party and say, them will work for Unduman. Forget about Marcus Garvey and the other black men who want to work for you. See 2 white men here. Now our brain will already mash up, So when we saw 2 white men, one that come and bear him chest and say, shoot me and leave the people, which was a fake.
Right. We know that.
And another one who come and say, listen, I'm a lawyer, I know the law. I will represent you. And so we gave our obeisance to Norman Washington Manley and so-called Sir Alexander Bustamante. But you'll recall that Bustamante said, bring in the dreads, dead or alive.
We recall very well.
So to this very day, our constitution is not our constitution. It is Britain's constitution for us.
Wow.
It's those who enslaved you, raped you, and murdered you and stole from you, now giving you a document to say that is the document to govern you. And we accepted that. Right. Our leaders accepted that. Our fake leaders accepted that. Our misleaders accepted that. And they have gotten us to follow that document now for the last 80 years.
Right.
20 years, 18 years before, and then independence, 62, 3 years, right?